Hesh, gosh. Welcome. I can't even do it. Welcome back to Trekyards. Shh. I don't know. I'm Captain Foley. We're doing the
I am Connor Cocking. And today we are looking at something fun. We are looking at Discovery, but in fact a tremendous talented man's redesign of Discovery to try and make Discovery-esque ships fit as if they were in the original series, or at least in the Star Trek feeling timeline. So, Stuart, what are we doing today?
Yes.
And who's the guy that did this cool stuff?
Atom, Atolm, is the name he goes by. But apparently he's a super talented guy who likes to draw, redesign, make new takes on older ships or newer ships or whatever, just his own take on it. And today we're going to be looking at the Sarcophagus Ship specifically. Now, it's interesting you had me do this because I know nothing about it because you told me not to look at the second picture.
So here's the first ship, the Sarcophagus Ship, as you know. And Stuart,
Yes.
You ready? 3, 2,
Yes.
1. Here's redesign.
It's very much more mechanical and not so much cathedral-y.
And if you want to put both sides side as I have, we can have a discussion. So I'm just so incredibly impressed by this. It keeps. That's why I try to mimic the render angles. It keeps the flow, the rough feel, but absolutely fits in with the Klingon aesthetic and probably the era. And it looks like a really cool ship. I'm really impressed.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has a TOS feel, especially the color. He's got those nacelles, kind of the greenish gray that we see on the D7s. Yeah, it's an interesting take for sure. The head feels very much more like a Negvar kind of design. So there's that as well. To me, though, to be fair, those nacelles, especially the nacelles, feel much more Federation than Klingon. They just have the same kind of Federation shape. The bizarre collectors at the fronts, they feel, I don't know, they feel more Starfleet than Klingon to me.
I mean, that's the thing about what he's done. He's actually done a very faithful redesign. And it's interesting that you said that the head feels very Negvar. We said that about Sarcophagus Ship, that it's one of the few things that links in. And so, he's limited by the shapes, and the engines need to be this more circular vibe. It needs to be long. He can't make big rectangle nacelles that wouldn't feel right. And it's an ancient ship, and they certainly feel old and robust, and they don't feel new and refined. So he had to use the limitations of the design, and I'm just so impressed with the functional state, because it does feel more real. It does feel more functional. You're not asking, what is the blue stuff? Why is it crystal? What is going on? It's just clever, I think, and it does harken back, it does harness it, but that forward torpedo launcher feels great. The bridge module has a bridge module now. The plating is there, but it's not too much. The engines are very literally what the other ones are. They're just missing the prongs, and he's removed the crystal nonsense, and yet still got the piping. In several areas, so it does still connect very cleverly, and yeah, I'm just a big fan of it. I think it's a really cool design.
Yeah, I am too. Just because of the drawing, though, it just feels more comic bookish to me. I'd like to see a more photorealistic version of this, like something we would see on screen. But I very much have a Federation vibe to it. Just the whole color scheme, everything. I think it needs.
I don't think he's finished drawing it. I think it's part of it. I don't think the grey is meant to be grey.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, because that would I think make it feel less Federation to me if it wasn't for the white or the gray that's there. I do like the length of the nacelles. Again, speaking to a more primitive kind of design for warp nacelles, longer makes a lot more sense. The center portion at the back there feels a little bulky when compared to the original Sarcophagus Ship, but again, it doesn't really bother me that much. I don't know. I just getting rid of all that crystalline structure of glass, whatever the hell that is, really makes sense. So
Yeah, that back piece on the new one certainly feels like a jet propulsion engine. And,
Almost, yeah.
And I've seen Sarcophagus Ship renders that I've done, and there isn't necessarily an engine back there. It's just kind of a thing. But I guess it's to kind of offset the bulkiness. Otherwise, it would feel very, like the Klingons aren't known for, in this era, especially long, thin shapes in the same way. So I guess it kind of makes sense to try and balance out the shape profiles. I talk about how the engines are big and bulky. I mean, the fact that they're connected by, one massive pylon and then another big bulky bit. It's like, yes, we need all this connective tissue just to function. Whereas for the other Sarcophagus Ship, especially in this angle, I guess the crystal connects the nacelles to the primary hull. And then some connective points as well, I guess.
Yeah. It almost looks like it was partially frozen in ice and it hasn't all melted yet.
I mean, that miniature is either already out or coming out soon, so it'd be great to read up on that and see what were they thinking there as well. Because I love to hear them explain it.
Well, yeah, absolutely. No, I don't know. The guy is very talented for sure. I would just like to see other angles of it as well. I mean, this is probably the best angle for showing off kind of all the sarcophagusness of it, but I would like to see an orthos of it just to kind of get a better feel for things.
Which is great because Sean Turandro, who's actually who knows a good friend of the channel, was commissioned to make orthographics of several of Atolm's designs, but I don't think this exact variant, so I wanted to save it for another one, and also ask Sean if we can use his orthos. I just want to, I think it was a good introduction to his style because it can show our audience. And I've said this before, I would love to take the Discovery designs and actually try and Klingonify them. And there are some really interesting Klingonified versions of these ships. Some really talented artists have just taken, well, the shape itself is not broken. It's all the details, the colour, the aesthetic, everything in between that. So it's really just fun to see the shape because, not every ship, most ships I would assume wouldn't look like a D7 in the Klingon fleet. Why would they? I mean, that's why I kind of love Enterprise, because you see the Raptor, the attack ship, the Bird of Prey, the D5 tanker, all these different variants where it is changing the shapes. It's not always just the same feel. And so I love his way of, well, let's keep it faithful to the shape, but make it Klingon, but also invent new details. It isn't just a carbon copy of a D7. Like, this is not a kit bash in any way, shape, or form. You know how I feel about kit bashes that are just bashing the kit. Although I think this one, this new one, I don't think it's designed to have the same feel of sarcophaguses on the hull, because there is no visible area I can see for that. As hull armor. What do you think?
I would agree with you that it wasn't designed that way. You can't even really see them on the Sarcophagus Ship. Can you? I mean, it's just like the Discovery designs weren't thought out well.
Well, style over substance.
Yeah. One thing that interests me is the fact that at the rear of the sarcophagus nacelles, if they are nacelles, they kind of have that bulked out section at the back, which he didn't incorporate. I think incorporating something like that back there would have helped as well. But I see what he was going for, more like a TOS vibe with the cylindricalness. But considering it's not a Federation ship, I think stepping outside and doing that bulk at the back would have worked.
Which, in fact, there is that in the Katinga nacelles at the back. There is sort of more bulbousy bulbs, so I think that would have actually helped. Would have been more literally a Katinga, but would have linked more to the I was going to say classic sarcophagus, but it's not the Discovery sarcophagus.
At first glance, it seems too Federation-like to me. It's almost like a Federation take on a Klingon design.
But I'm fascinated that you say that, because if you're, and I'm not disagreeing, I'm asking to talk about it slightly more. In the same token, then, you must assume that the Romulan era TOS Bird of Prey is mostly a Federation design, because the nacelles are clearly Federation, the colours Federation, the angles are very Federation. I mean, by that same sort of logic, that ship is a stolen Federation ship, even more so, or heavily biased. Does that connect then as well?
Never considered it until, well, in this context until you said that, but yeah, absolutely. And there's been speculation that the Romulans had in fact stolen some Federation tech and we're incorporating it into this new design bird of prey, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole story behind that, which explains why it looks like that. And again, I mean, I've seen multiple Klingon or Romulan bird of preys over the years that have like green Bizarre collectors or blue to differentiate them from the Federation, not even cone shapes at the front, but like bulbs, like cylinders instead, which makes it look like different tech. And I think you're right. The one in Balance of Terror, it almost feels like there's stolen Federation tech there, which I could buy 100%.
So this one then, it really is because of the unfinished white vibe, which would fit more TOS, and obviously the bird of prey is sort of grey. The D7 is originally a grey, so it kind of fits in with the D7 though more. Although I think it's just not finished painted, and I kind of see the nacelles because they're so bit. The fact that it's all this compound shapes makes it feel like they can't even get remotely close to a cylinder. That very ultra old school shape, I guess. Even though it doesn't quite. I don't know. I think it's close. I think it's far enough away not to be Federation-y, but I guess it could have been more far away.
It seems like older than TOS tech for the Federation. It seems like that step between Enterprise and TOS. It's just something about it, that the plating, the way it's shaped, the colors, even the red striping on the side beside the Klingon emblem doesn't help. It just makes it feel Federation-like to me. Not taking anything away from the design, because it looks great, but I just think repainting needs to be done.
Fascinating. A bit of Vulcan as well. But there you go, guys. I just want to bring this up. There's a couple of other designs we're going to look at of both Atolm and other artists redesigning the Discovery aesthetic to actually fit into a Klingon and or TOS and or just general Klingon vibe. So let us know what you think in the comments down below of this ship. Anything you would tweak, change, if you want to see him finish this design with more 3/4 orthographics, and if a modeler out there wants to take this design, run with it and model it, let us know. We'd love to cover that in a future episode, because then we can make it fully green and see if Stuart's brain suddenly clicks, and obviously make the couple of changes that Stuart wants as well. So let us know, and of course support this channel by sharing, liking if you like the video, sharing on Facebook, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, anyway, I think
MySpace,
and I think you should share. Tell your friends, and if you just like the designs, just with Trekyards, you can just Google or YouTube any ship and the word Trekyards, and it's likely we've done a video on it. So do have a little look, and that's a great way of supporting the channel. But Stuart, is there any other way to support this channel?
By all means, there is. Check out the description below. We've got links for our PayPal, our Patreon, very helpful. You can also head on over to Trekyards.com and donate that way as well. Plus, we have our Teespring store. We got some fantastic Trekyards merchandise, which you might want to check out. And you can even save yourself some money on Eaglemoss ships by clicking the link down below and using discount code Trekyards, which also helps out the channel. So, lots of ways to help us out and get involved. And we look forward to seeing you guys again when we have more cool stuff to talk about. So, until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Coggins. Bye, guys.
See ya.